Afternoon, welcome back. We're going to now go on with our training. Just to recap again, we have looked at the diary so far for today, to make bookings, appointments, how to manage those appointments for the administration, all the extras functions around it. We looked at the basic clinical information the doctor can use in the desktop app that GoodX provides. We looked at now the billing through the multi-invoice screen for the private patients, and we looked at Medicaid patients where you click on post and you click on send now, send later or cancel, where you can mark the items active. Here you can use combinations and issue scripts by using the prescribe button or the consumables or the dispense button. So now we look at billing correction. So we just click on complete this section, then we could quick break, and then we're going to start immediately with claim administrations. So I'm just quickly going to show you how do I fix now billing that I've made and on the system. And this is very important to remember that GoodX will use only journals for bad debt discounts, write-offs of small amounts and handovers. The moment I do billing, I generate an invoice in GoodX. So the moment I need to fix it, I need to do a credit note. You cannot, under any circumstances, use a journal to fix your billing. Journals are used for small amounts, and discounts and bad debt need to be written off. Otherwise, you will always use a credit note to fix your billing. So when would I use a credit note? So when I've billed a patient and doctor or whoever's done the billing realizes we've billed the wrong file, I would do a credit note to completely remove all the billing. So in other words, we generate a turnover, we generate the VAT when we generate an invoice, and we even move the stock out of the warehouses in that sense. By doing a credit note, you're reversing the whole process. You're returning the stock back into the warehouses. You are actually also correcting the VAT, and you're correcting the turnovers. A journal do not fix those specific scenarios. So please do not use a journal for any corrections. And that's why if you look here at your manual under Learning Center, you will see billing corrections. We talk about a credit note and a redo transaction. Now the redo transaction is a credit note. We just do it automatically in the process when you fix your billing. So let me just show you a quick credit note. So the first thing of the credit note you need to be aware of, I cannot just do a credit note from the diary. So in other words, reception do not have access to this in that sense. If they do bill, they must have access to the MEDEPS. Under MEDEPS, under transactions, you will find credit notes, new interface. So this is where I will fix any billing. So if I've billed a private patient and I've actually billed 1,000 needles, then I need to remove 999 of those needles. But if I billed a patient that the claim must go through to discovery, I need to reverse the whole claim and do the credit note for the whole claim and issue a new claim, because the Medicaid does not accept partial billing. So you cannot just simply reverse the needle in a discovery claim and just submit another needle in its place. The Medicaid probably will not accept it in normal circumstances. So please be aware of it, that when I do a credit note, I usually do a credit note for the full billing that I've done. That includes the procedure, the consultation, the medication, and even the consumables. But if it's a private patient, yes, you might be able just to remove the needles, but only for private patients you can do partial credit notes. Okay, so let me I'll show you how this function works. I go to transactions, I click on my credit note, I select the period I'm currently in. As you do month ends, the correct month should be available. You click on OK. You will put in your date of when this transaction must take place, and usually a credit note will take place on today's date. Then I need to take the patient's file that I want to do the billing. In this case, I'm going to use DEP 60. So I can search it from the list, or I can go to account number and put in number 60 and physically search the file. There it is. And it shows me the patient again. And now I will see all the billing that was done on this file up to date. So reference is done just wrong billing or incorrect billing, depending on you must specify why you are doing this. Please, the system will not allow to proceed with this credit note if you do not fill in your reason, your reference for why you do this. On the search option here, I can actually now, for the private patient, search out the Panadus. In this case sensitive, and you'll search it be careful of that as well. But also here's the invoice number. So check your invoice number 758/Q, 758/V, 758/W. So the idea is that I want to write back that web call, for instance. I've issued 4 and it should have only be 1. So I'm going to remove 3 of those web calls. So I'm going to that credit note quantity and I'm going to put in a 3 and tab. The line must be in bold to show me, okay, that I've billed originally 4. So I'm going to remove 3, so there will be 1 web call left after I've done this web call. And I'm doing this because I know this is a private patient. If it was a medical aid credit note that I'm doing, the best option would be to say select all and make sure that all of that invoice 758/Q will be credit noted. So you must first reverse the claim, credit note the file, and rebill the claim on the patient again and submit the new claim to the medical aid, the new invoice. So in this scenario, I can write back everything on that billing that was done on this by doing that select all, but careful for the first selected, it will be everything on the patient has been done up till to date. You only want to focus on the invoice for that day. So for that day, that invoice 758/Q, that's what I want to reverse. I'm going to say invoice and I'm going to say post. Then the system will ask you, are you sure you want to do this? Yes. And then the credit note will be done. So if I go back to Mr. De Klerk and I go into his account, now we'll see there's my invoice on the 7th for 1142.87, and I've done now in the purple color directly linked to the invoice. That's why it's underneath the invoice. The date does not matter in this scenario, but it will be underneath that invoice, and also today's date for -114, and everything that was billed was now returned or corrected. So the whole billing was made 0. So now I can see outstanding is 0, and I still need to rebill this patient. And this is where I can still go on this booking, click again on invoice, and bill the correct items for this patient. And now here I can see it nice and red. It's because a credit note was done on those items. So now I say OK, and I will go again to my combination and select my injection, say OK, and just remove to all the billing again, but I will just remove a few ones here, just pull that. So say pull the new billing, and if it's a medical aid patient, submit this new claim to the medical aid. Do not resubmit it, it's a new billing, it's a new claim, so just send now or send later to send the claim to the medical aid. Click on post. I'm not going to print everything again and say OK. And now this account is outstanding 3,300. And if I go into account inquiries again by clicking there on F10, a new invoice will be done for 3,000, where it was now 1,100. Now today's billing moved up to 3,000 Rand because I've built now that additional 1495 code, for instance. So please make sure you understand that's a credit note. I can only do the credit note from my MedDeps. I go to transactions and I do the credit note there. Okay, now the next option is the redo transaction. So as you can see, it's part of my billing corrections. So what is my redo transaction? The redo is there to make this whole process that I've just done now, the credit note and the billing, just easier in one step. So this is obviously the option I would like to do. So I would definitely go to my account and I can trigger the redo only from out of my account inquiries. So I must go to my patient's booking or to his file, go into his account. Once I'm in the account, I select the invoice that I want to redo. And as you can see here at the bottom is my resubmit my claim, my EDI response, and here's my redo transaction. Again, only certain key personnel in the practice will have access to this functionality. So now I will select that because I've billed that 2761.80. The medical aid rejected that 2761.80, that code 1495, because they say it's a wrong code. So the medical aid wants to pay all the rest. So, but I don't want them to pay and see this claim anymore. I want to remove this claim, and that's why typically my first step would be to go to my next option, which would have been here, Quant Solution Op tab. And I first would reverse my claim, and I will get to this in the claim administration again. I will first reverse my claim, and then I will click on redo. Once I click on my redo transaction, the system will tell you this action will credit this invoice and let you redo them on a new invoice. Do you want to continue? Yes. Your reason again, incorrect codes. I'm going to say OK. You just click OK. It will give you notes. Here you can make a note that you're doing this if you need to, and the reasons why. It will show you again the same patient with the history. You click just OK, just continue with the process, and it will bring up the billing screen with the same codes that you've loaded on this patient. So everything will be duplicated into this. It will just make basically a copy. And now I can go say, okay, but my problem is the medical does not accept 1495, so I'm going to remove that code. And I'm just simply going to add then my correct code, could be 1447, that's after our emergency, for instance, unscheduled emergency. So now this the medical aid will accept, but to remember, obviously, if this was a claim, I should have reversed the claim first. So now I just confirm my codes again. Yes, I'm happy with this, and I'm going to say post and click again on send now, and then the medical aid should give me now a green response that says processed to tell me that they are happy now with this claim. So the moment I've done this, now immediately I would see this invoice of 3326.7 now was done a credit note on today's date for minus 3326.79. So that invoice was cancelled. We generated a new invoice, and your street status should now say process or rejected because you submitted a new claim to that medical aid. So please make sure you understand, how do I get to this? For a redo transaction, I must go through the account inquiries. You can do it from the diary, or you can go to MedEps, go to admittance, search the file, go into the account. And remember, the credit note you can only access here from transactions. Credit notes, that's typically for billing that should never have taken place. You want to remove it, the account must be 0. That's when you will use a credit note. Do not use a journal to write off any mistakes you've made on your accounts. If the medical aid short pays, that's a different reason. That's a small amount journal, or a large amount depending on what the problem might have been. But the journal will not affect your turnover, will not affect the VAT at the end of the day after turnover, and it will definitely will not return stock to the warehouses or correct the stock in any way. If there's any questions on these billing corrections, please let us know. I'm going to close this session, and then in literally in 5 minutes just move over to my claim administration session and go on with that next step. If there's any questions on the credit notes, please let us know so that we can answer your questions on this if needed. Thank you very much. See you later.